great to see you all here. This is the place to come. To find out everything that's going on here in West Delray and South Palm Beach County. We really know everything that's going on, and what we don't know, and you ask us, we'll find out. And also, our leaders here many times tell us something that's going on, and then we look into it to fix anything that needs to be fixed or to find out information. Great. Okay, our October meeting, to let you all know, it's Thursday, October 6th. Please write that down and remember to come Thursday, October 6th, because Wednesday is a holiday. It's Yom Kippur. It's a big holiday, and we're going to meet on Thursday. We're not going to skip a meeting. This is going to be a great meeting. It's going to be all about emergency, from the emergency to the emergency room. And we're going to have fire rescue and AMR and medics and our Delray Medical Center emergency room staff speak. It's very important to learn how all that 911 works. And guess what? Thursday, November 10th, write that down too. It's in our newsletter and we'll send it out. But the issue with that month is the election. They have early voting, and then after the election day, they still have the machines in here and they have to get them out. So that's why we have it Thursday, November 10th. And that's going to be a fantastic program with Joshua Gersten here to answer all your questions and to talk about the new condo bills and all. Just a few announcements because it's been such an incredibly busy summer. And before my announcements, the most important thing is to just announce our special guests. And here is Arnie Katz, Executive Vice President for that.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Can't hear you.
Sorry. I'll try that again. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. I'd like to announce all of our guests, and we welcome you, and thank you for coming as well. Yalen Miejas, aide to Mayor Weinroth. Let's see here. Gwen Gonzalez, legislative aide to Representative Skidmore. Daniel Delagrange, legal aide, legislative aide to Senator Berman. Beth Rappaport from Cobra. Kim Rayner, Supervisor of Elections Office. Nehuli Carson, Supervisor of Elections Office. Ed Saul, from Representative Schlossberg's office. Howie Zimmerman, from the Property Appraiser's office. Mike Pratt, from the Property Appraiser's office. Rodney Spavin, from the Clerk of Court's office. Dana Ackerman-White, representing Commissioner Dave Kerner, aide to Dave Kerner. Evelyn DePlacy, Senator Lori Berman's office, and we welcome you all. Thank you for being here.
Great. Wow, well, we're going to hear from our first responders first, and then we do have Senator Berman here and Vice Chair of the School Board, Karen Brill, to speak. Just a few announcements, a little bit more than we usually have, because I've got some important things here to tell you, things that happened over the summer and things to look forward to. First of all, we have less of our board here today because there is a funeral right now of one of our board directors. So it's very sad that Ken Markowitz passed away. You might remember him. He used to do the videography here for us every month, and he was also editor of the newsletter. Summer was busy. You know that we had the insurance seminar and we had the traffic seminar. We still went with the Zoom meetings. We had them and we still went on with these important information, and that's all on YouTube. You can find that out on our Alliance of Delray channel. You can look at those. The contest for the famous actors, if everybody saw that, well, a few people did win, so congratulations. And we have a few people here. It was Ann Caro and my other friends there from the Caros. Great. Wait, was it you that, right? Correct? You won the cups? Yes? Great. Well, we're going to have more. It's going to be easier. I heard it was a little difficult because there were 9 actors to identify. So but we want to do something uplifting once in a while, so we'll do that. And there'll be more contests in the future. Mature Drivers Course, October 20th. Sign up right there. The Alliance is the only civic organization that offers the Mature Drivers Course approved by the state of Florida's Motor Vehicles Agency, and it is for insurance credit. So you can sign up there, and we will have one here, and we're also going into the communities. We will be in Valencia Falls. We go to the communities as well. But it's going to be here for many people, whoever from here would like to go. The most important thing, I don't have it here, can one of my board members pick it up, the green piece of paper, or somebody from there just lift up the little green piece of paper? That's tonight. That's about the traffic expansion on Atlantic Avenue. Thank you. Information there. At 5:30 there'll be a virtual meeting, and the web address is there, and at 6:30 at Hagen Ranch Road Library, there will have a meeting there, and you can see this is the expansion of Atlantic from 441 to Lyons Road. So that's imminent now, and that's in the Agricultural Reserve. Of course, the development update, wow. The swap has been postponed. Everybody's been hearing about that. We spent, Executive Vice President Arnie Katz and I were up there, and they did postpone the swap. And the week before, we were there from 8:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, had more meetings about the Agricultural Reserve and the increased density that they have approved a little bit along Atlantic Avenue and Boynton Beach Boulevard, and also a special sort of light industrial or commerce, which will be along 441, just to end just south of Atlantic Avenue. It won't go down through our neighborhoods there that we have, of course, Dakota and Tierra del Rey, Rio Poco, Saturnia Isles. Everybody is happy that it's not going to be down there, the commerce in front of their associations. The self-storage Atlantic and the Turnpike, we're working, Waterways is here today, and they've been working with the developer on that to make it a better project, and they've got some approvals there. Self-storage and car wash on Lyons and Atlantic, that's been postponed. Lyons and Atlantic in the Ag Reserve, we're working with Delray Lakes Estates on that one. We're meeting with them tomorrow and the developer to see how this car wash can be better and better buffered and all, and if it will go there at all. The Big Apple, nothing is new with that and right now that we know about, so we will let you know about that. And of course, our newsletters, you'll always find it in our newsletters and also online. So that's the major announcements. Thank you to AMR for sponsoring this morning's breakfast. Thank you. And one thing, we're going to have Palm Beach County Fire Rescue come up here, but we're just congratulating Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. They're #1 in public protection classification, and the Alliance was there when they received their award from the Board of County Commissioners last week. Only 0.01% of fire departments in the country get this award, and that is really fantastic. So congratulations to Chief Kennedy, and yes. A lot of it was past Chief Duran too, and they really do a fantastic job, our fire rescue, and we'll hear from them next month. Now we will hear from Captain Sant with an update. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Lori. Okay, so being a man of the law, I have to be full disclosure on something. I think the contest was rigged. I think so. I think so. And I think Palm Beach County Fire Rescue is behind the prizes, right? Because I was notified that I won, and my office, and all my officers and deputies, got a lifetime membership to local donut shop. So I don't know if that's supposed to be funny or not, but I got you, Chief. I am. All right, how's everybody doing, all right? Good, it's always a pleasure to see you. I hope everybody had a fantastic summer. Let me give you a couple updates that we left off with last month. Operation Hot Wheels. Operation Hot Wheels is the initiative that we launched. Sheriff Bradshaw has taken what we see and what we're living with these speeders on the road, the car clubs, the racers. You guys recognize them, right? Well, so does our sheriff, and so do we. So I typically don't like giving you guys specific numbers to bore you to death with numbers, but I have to tell you just so it shows the impact of what we're doing out there. Since July of Operation Hot Wheels, we're up to about 1,100 citations. 1,100 citations. Over 1,000 cars have been stopped. 41 of those cars have been towed off the roadway. Understand the financial impact on these drivers. And we've made over 41 arrests. We've seized some weapons, some drugs, and all the rest of that stuff that goes with you. Most importantly, I want you all to know how your concerns do not go unnoticed to us, especially our sheriff. All right, so we're going to keep pressing forward. The other thing is, as well, is that we think we've moved some of them out of the county. It's called criminal displacement, right? We'll take it. Whatever it takes for them to get away from us, we'll take it. The other ones have decided they're going to tap out because it's far too expensive to continue doing what they're doing. And the other ones we call that are left, well, those are our slow learners. And we have a special place in our heart for our slow learners. Okay? So stay tuned, folks. We're on top of it. Well, let me give you a quick update. I don't know if anybody saw it on Friday night, this past Friday night. We had launched, the Sheriff's Office launched a joint operation with multi-jurisdictions, local jurisdictions and state jurisdictions throughout the county. Won't bore you with the details, but I will tell you this. They targeted DUIs and reckless driving, and they put another big imprint on that as well. The numbers are probably just about the same in a one-night span. So kudos to those deputies out there. They're really getting on it. They're really getting on it. Our traffic crashes in the district are still up 12%. I'm not comfortable with that, as well as you are, so please leave yourself some time moving from place to place. We did have 2 fatalities just in the span of one day, over the last 3 days, right here off Atlantic, around for 441. The gentleman on Atlantic was fleeing over 100 miles an hour, exited Atlantic, and crushed into somebody unsuspected, unknowingly citizen that was just driving from the other here. And that soul's gone. So what I need from you guys is this, just please pay attention, slow down, give yourself plenty of time, so no matter where you're going, right, and maintain a situational awareness at all times, no matter what. There's a lot of stuff going on the road out there. Last but not least, let me give you a last final update on our crime of burglaries to vehicles and stolen vehicles. We see a noticeable decrease. I'm still not comfortable with the numbers yet. But here's the shocker. The majority of vehicles that are broken into and stolen, all left open. All left open. The key fobs are to that vehicle, they're left in there. And then to even sweeten the pot for the criminals even more, 3 or 4 of the cases as of late, the key fobs to their spouse's vehicle were in that car too. So that triggers off a response to our task force that sees if we can get a tracker on that. So please, please, remove your valuables, lock your doors, and be careful. All right, listen, last but not least, I'll tell you this. I want to thank all of you for your support, your continuing support, the letters, the emails, and the phone calls that come into my office praising these deputies out there. Does not go unnoticed. Does not go unnoticed by them and by me and by the sheriff. I'll take questions afterwards. I'll stay. If not, please, just call me at the office, come by and see me, email me. I'm always available. All right, I'll see everybody next month. Thank you.
It's so great to see you and so great to have your updates. Thank you so very much. We have 2 representatives here today. We'll be hearing from another 2, Kelly Skidmore and Joe Casale, who came today. So great. We'll hear from our 4 elected officials. Right after Chief Ed Harvey from Palm Beach Fire Rescue will give us a little brief update.
Morning. Had a good summer. So just a quick update on the call volumes. This summer, we were averaging about 3,100 calls. We anticipate this to increase within the fall months here. We are building 2 brand new stations. The first station will be located on La Chalet Military. That's going to be Station 40. The second station will be Station 49, which will be on Lyons Road between West Atlantic and Boynton Beach. With the county right now, being ISO level 1, this is a big deal. We worked so hard on it. We thank you guys for your support. I can't be more proud enough to work for the department of Palm Beach County. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Chief Harvey. We have Senator Berman. Great to see you. We love Senator Berman.
Thank you.
We love all our elected officials.
Good morning, Delray Alliance. Somebody said to me, well, what's the good news? I said, well, the good news is gas prices are lower. Unemployment is a little better. We haven't met in the legislature since we finished in March, and there are a lot of big issues here in the state that still need to be addressed that you all know. Property insurance, as many of you know, as you're renewing your property insurance, affordable housing, but hopefully when we meet again, which will not be until December, we'll start to address some of those issues. I'm really excited because I was invited by the president on Tuesday to be there when he's signing the Inflation Reduction Act. I'll be one of 2,000 people, so look for me on the TV. I'm excited about the act because it's going to help to cap some Medicare costs for everyone. It'll cap insulin costs, and we're going to start to do some things in the country about addressing climate change and using more renewable energy sources. So that's the big news for now. We won't talk about where we are right now in September because everything's been good, so we're just knocking on wood about that. And I want to wish everybody who celebrates a most happy, healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Berman, for always being so available for us, and also thank you for that great insurance seminar that you and Representative Skidmore gave from. We're going to split up a little today. We're going to let Karen Brill go next, since she was so early, and then we'll have our 2 representatives. From the school board, Vice Chair Karen Brill.
Thank you, and it's so great to see all of you. And I wish I could tell you it's another quiet day at the school board, but you know what? There's no such thing in the state of Florida. So here's the good news. We started our negotiations with the teachers for their salary, and I think for the first year ever, we may be able to get our contract in place within the next few weeks, because the legislature is allowing us to use a pot of money for our veteran teachers to address something called salary compression. That's when our veteran teachers, right, are making almost the same as our new teachers, because the governor has raised the salary for the starting teachers, but it's compressed the salary. So that's great news, and with the referendum we currently have in place, our teachers still get their $10,000, it's $1,000 to $10,000 retention bonus. But things are not easy right now. We have a teacher shortage, a bus driver shortage, a food service worker shortage, a school police shortage. We are addressing all of that. Best news of all though, and I'm going to make this very brief, today we're going to be addressing the bill that we have to enact about the books, but I want you to know that the Palm Beach County School Board is not banning any books. So no books will be banned. What we're doing is we're relocating. So if there's a book that's not appropriate for an age group, for example, K through 3, it's being moved to the library for 4th and 5th graders. So no books will be banned, I can assure you of that. Teachers will not carry guns as long as we're on the school board. That won't happen either. So stay tuned, we're always in the news. Thank you.
We now have Kelly Skidmore, Representative Kelly Skidmore. Good to see you. And thank you for coming to that little insurance seminar we had on Zoom during the summer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vinacore. Good morning, everyone. Everyone in a fall mood with this fall weather that we have now? Now that summer's, wait, no, oh, that's right. But I wore my fall dress because I know the weather is going to change soon. So wonderful to see you all this morning. You know that we're still in a crisis in terms of housing and insurance. There is a bond issue for Palm Beach County on the ballot in November. I know you've been educated on that. That's an important issue in terms of workforce housing for our county. As you know, I have always said that I believe the answer to the insurance crisis is a national catastrophic risk pool. I will continue to talk about that in the legislature once we go back in November and December, and then for session in March and April. It's a little slow in the legislature right now because of the election. So there's not a lot going on, but I want to introduce my legislative aide, Dr. Gwen Gonzalez, who's here. If you need anything, if you need help with any state agency, if you need help with anything that you're not getting help with, please don't hesitate to call our office. We're here for you. We're here to help you. If it's your homeowner's insurance, if it's unemployment compensation, if it's a traffic light that you need, we're happy to help point you in the right direction for your community. So wonderful to see you as always. Looking forward to the next couple of months for the weather to cool down, for hurricane season to be over. Happy and healthy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Skidmore. And today we have a special treat here. Representative Joe Casello. Well, you may not know him, so I'm introducing him right here. He's our representative in the House also, and he's also a firefighter, right? Yes. So please welcome Joe Casello. Tell us something about your district, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, how many know who Joe Casello is? Thank you, Michael. My name is Joe Casello, and I'm currently the state rep for District 90. This is the first time I had campaigned in the Delray area because of the redistricting that just happened. Previously, I think it was my friend Michael Caruso. So this is all new to me down here. But like my colleagues over there, Kelly Skidmore had said, our office is open. Let me start by introducing my aide, Troy Gross. Troy takes all our calls, all your issues, and we get results. We took great pride in this last crisis with the pandemic and the unemployment. We felt many constituents, and hopefully that we're able to continue to do that after the November election. Like I said, I'm originally from Massachusetts. You probably can tell that by a couple sentences that I say. You won't hear any R's coming out of me. But I have a love for local government. I was a city commissioner in Boynton Beach for 6 years before I went out to the State House, and I followed Laurie Berman after she went to the Senate. I took her seat in the House. These people over here, my colleagues over here, they're wonderful to work with. Kelly and Laurie and Karen on school board issues, they're pros in what they do and getting the results. I also was an HOA president, so I understand some of the issues that happens in some of our gated communities. And I can tell you one thing, it's a lot harder being HOA president than it is a state representative, by any stretch of the imagination. But like my colleagues had mentioned earlier, we do have some issues coming up there in Tallahassee with the insurance issues. We had a special session. I don't think we got much accomplished on that end of it, but hopefully that when we come back after this election, there'll be much more to talk about. I had a 30-year career as a firefighter in Massachusetts. I came down here in Boynton Beach in 2009. There was the city of Boynton Beach politically was in tough condition, and I decided to try to try to make a difference. And we were pretty successful in doing that in 2009. And like I say, from that day on, we've been pretty fortunate and humbled to be able to win those elections up to this 2022 now. So we look forward to another election cycle. I just wanted, before I leave here, I just want you to know that I get great pride. We go up to Tallahassee and we talk about a lot of things and back and forth. But the greatest pride that I take in this job is constituent work. It feels nothing better when somebody calls in who has a personal crisis with an issue or can't get results, and we're able to guide that issue through the process and get them the help that they need or the results that they need. So that's what I'm here for. I take great pride in that. That's what our office does. And we'll be here for all of you now here in Delray. My name is Joe Casello, so I don't want to be a stranger. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for visiting us. Come back and give us updates, please. We do look forward to a better session this coming year. Well, we're starting our program now. Thank you to AMR for sponsoring the breakfast. They're going to be speaking next month along with the firefighters. You ever go past Delray Medical Center and you always see the firefighters in front of the emergency department, and there's usually an AMR or medics vehicle in front of there. We're going to learn how all that works together and how you could use the services next month. We have Wendy Sartory Link today, our Supervisor of Elections. However, she had a slight emergency that she pulled over to the side of the road. She will be here. She's on her way. But we did have another speaker here for today to explain thoroughly one of the ballot amendments. And from the Housing Leadership Council of Palm Beach County, we have Jack Weir, who is the chairman of the Housing Leadership Council of Palm Beach County. We do have Michael Weiner here too, and he is an attorney. He works with Sachs and Kaplan, and he will be answering any questions you may have too on this ballot amendment. So this is a big thing on the ballot in November. And this is going to be a thorough explanation by Jack Weir, chairman of the Housing Leadership Council of Palm Beach County. By the time he's finished, which will be maybe about 10 minutes, probably Wendy will be here and be able to speak. Mr. Jack Weir.
Thank you, Dr. Vinocourt, and good morning, everyone. Take a moment here to get the slideshow set up. All right, county question bond number 1. So, the Housing Leadership Council is a nonprofit advocacy group for workforce housing. By workforce, we mean all the essential workers that make Palm Beach County tick. So, on your mail-in ballot, on your early vote, or on the ballot that you vote on November 8th, you will see right below 2 statewide amendments, county question number 1, the housing bond, and beneath it will be for and against. So, okay, restart. All right, so while it restarts, I'll keep going here. So, we did a housing needs assessment, we being the Florida International University and the Housing Leadership Council. And that was done in February of 2021. And what it showed was a dramatic increase in the nature of the housing crisis in Palm Beach County. So what we found was that close to 100,000 households were cost burdened, meaning they were spending more than 30% of their income on either rent or on housing costs. And we also found that we had a shortfall of 20,000 units over the last 10 years. So what that means is the problem wasn't an overnight problem. It had been building over time. So when we looked at the population growth relative to the supply that was being produced, the gap each year was over 2,000 units a year for a decade. So the housing plan, of which the bond is a part, is designed to make up that shortfall and to try and produce 20,000 units, many of which are workforce and housing units, over the next decade. So I'm going to pause right here and restart this. to restart.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Sorry for the delay, folks. All right. All right, take two. So what you see on the screen is the language. So the language was carefully crafted by bond counsel to be mostly incomprehensible. But what you see on the right side is the plain language, which is what we'll be doing here. So the bond issue is basically a bond that is issued by Palm Beach County, and it will be made available through a series of requests for proposal to developers as low-interest loans in return for providing either rental housing or for-sale homes that are below market prices. It's designed to target police, firefighters, teachers, nurses, government workers, service workers. So that's the ballot language that will be appearing on November 8th for your ballot if you vote earlier. So the proceeds from the bonds, as I mentioned, are used to offer low-interest loans. It goes up to 140% AMI, which is close to $128,000. And just to put this in perspective, which you'll see in a couple slides, the median home price in Palm Beach County is currently $550,000. Your goal is to have your home price be 3 times what your income is. So that means that to support a home, you would have to earn over $180,000 a year. Rental is obviously lower, but to pay no more than a third of your income, you would have to be earning, in many cases, close to $100,000. That's where the pricing is today, and that's why this has been such a problem. So one of the manifestations of this is these signs that I'm sure all too many of you have seen, which is closed. We don't have labor. Closed. We have a teacher shortage. Police are trying to hire. School police are trying to hire. Hospitals are short on nurses. Doctors' offices are short on physicians' assistants. All these essential workers that are professionals, educated, have done all the right things in terms of going to school, getting good jobs. They can't afford housing in our county. Now? Okay. So this is an example of the gap. If you look at this, this is what teachers earn. That's what they can afford. $155,000, $550,000. On the rent side, $18 an hour, well above the minimum wage. That's what they can afford. That's what the average rents are. So your question is probably going to be, how is this going to work? So the bonds are a low-cost source of financing because the county has a AAA bond rating. For rental housing, the way it will work is a conventional project is financed with a construction loan and with equity. It will basically replace expensive equity with a low-interest loan that's administered by the county. So it lowers the developer's cost of financing. In return, the developer pledges to restrict a certain number of units to below market rents for folks that have incomes either below 140% of the area median income, 120%, 100%, or 80%. Depends on the category. The more bond funds they get as a loan, the more units they agree to restrict. And the way it's enforced is the developer signs a deed restriction. So it's a matter of public record. Here's what the units are, and they are going to be restricted for a period of probably 30 years in a rental complex. So, and then there's an annual compliance to make sure that the developer, as the owner of the project, comports with those. If the project is sold, then the developer will repay the loan, but the obligation continues for the full 30 years. That's the benefit of the deed restriction. On the home ownership side, what it does is it looks at the cost of the production and then what the home can be sold for. So under certain workforce housing restrictions, a home may not be sold for more than $220,000, and that home may cost $300,000 to produce. So the bond proceeds are intended to fill in the gap there and make sure that that home can be done. In return, there is a deed restriction there as well, that the home can only be sold to someone else of a like income for the first 15 years or so. So that's how it works. So there is ample compliance across the board in terms of that. So one of the questions is, well, how does this affect the whole approval process? This is a financing mechanism. It does not change the local government approval process. It's not an end run around meeting with neighbors and any of that process. So everything still goes through the local approval process with the planning commission, with your city council, where you have input. One thing that the plan does, the bonds are part of an overall housing plan. The plan does is it looks to speed up development approvals and permitting. So having permitting done on an expedited basis. But this is a financing mechanism, it's not an approval shortcut. Another question may be, where will the units go? So rental apartments are part of this. The density has to be put in the right places. So what are the right places? They're going to be major commercial thoroughfares where there are areas of employment. A big source of this is going to be adaptive reuse of old shopping centers, office buildings, surface parking lots, old churches with excess land. Basically, because we are landlocked on the east with the ocean, on the west with the Everglades, it's more efficient use of the land that we have. A big source in terms of for sale housing is going to be revitalizing neighborhoods. There are many neighborhoods, particularly along the eastern corridor, where you have large amounts of vacancies and vacant land. So this will be a big part of that for sale as well. So some of these units would be built anyway. This program basically is a mechanism to make sure that there are set-asides for our workforce within those market projects that would be built. So, next question I'm sure is on everybody's mind is, how much is this going to cost? So, Palm Beach County is a AAA bond rating. Even though interest rates have backed up some, they are still low by historic standards. So the county budget office ran a projection, and the two most salient figures are $4.36 per $100,000 of assessed value. And remember, assessed value is not the same as market value. And so for an average home in Palm Beach County, the calculation is this costs $14 per year. The reason is it's a general obligation bond, highly rated issuer, spread across all the households in the county. A couple other things to note, and then I will open it up for questions. This is part of a larger plan. There's a housing steering committee that's been meeting for the past year and a half that consists of lenders, planners, attorneys, developers, government officials. So the bonds are part of the funding and financing mechanism for the plan. And remember, one of the reasons we're also in this situation, besides market forces, is there's a state housing trust fund, and the legislature for the last 20 years, over the objections of our local contingent, has swept over $2.5 billion from the state housing trust fund, over $200 million from Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County is a donor county. We send much more up to Tallahassee than we receive back. So part of what we're trying to do here is take control of our own destiny by having a dedicated local funding source for workforce housing. So bonds are part of the funding and financing, but they're not the only part. There's also planning and regulatory reform, part of the approval process, some of the improvements we think can be made, both at the county and the municipal level. There is a neighborhood revitalization component, and then there's a racial equity and fairness component. A big part of that is addressing historic barriers to black home ownership and what we can do to raise the rate of home ownership there. So this is about the protections. This is taxpayer money, so there have to be protections here. So you have the annual certification by the developers that they're meeting their obligations. The homeowners are required to provide the county with notice of sale. All loans are made with a recorded deed restriction. The program will be overseen by the county, but there will also be citizen oversight in the form of the Housing Leadership Council who will be monitoring the progress of the program and assessing results. And that's it in terms of the presentation, and I am happy to open it up to any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, and thank you for that. And we have Michael Weiner here, we have Jack Weir here. If there's any questions right now, Wendy has come in. Thank you so much. Wendy Lee, our Supervisor of Elections, she's going to be presenting. But if there's one or two questions, anything, if not, we'll, and I'm sure you could stay maybe till the end of Wendy's
If there are any more
presentation.
specific questions.
Terrific. Thank you. Oh, who's that? Oh.
These housing. Do you presume the housing will be built within Palm Beach County because land is going for astronomical numbers and growth is enormous?
Right. No, that's it. It is a fair question in terms of where we'll go. So think of major thoroughfares, commercial thoroughfares, Linton Boulevard, etc. There aren't a lot of vacant parcels there, but what there are, there's a lot of older shopping centers, office buildings. There'll be a lot of, in some cases, churches, vacant parking lots. So in terms of more dense rental housing, it would be near employment centers there. Part of the goal here is to actually cut down on traffic by having people live closer to where they work. We have this phenomenon now where you have people driving up from Homestead in Florida City, down from St. Lucie in the northern part of it, and clogging our roads. It's a much more efficient process if people live closer to where they work. So that's a big part of it. The other part that I mentioned is neighborhood revitalization. You'll go into very centrally located neighborhoods that have historically been depressed, large amounts of vacant land. Now, the development has to be compatible with what's there. You're not going to put a high-rise next to a one-story cottage, but you can do other single-family homes, you can do duplexes, you can do townhomes. So you're not going to solve it with one big whack. It's going to be lots of small developments scattered throughout the county. And remember, we are somewhat land constrained, but we're also the largest county geographically from a land standpoint east of the Mississippi. So we are a large county, and that's part of it.
Well, since this is such a big thing on the ballot this year, big item, we're going to have Michael Weiner just, can you please wrap it up for 2 minutes or 3 minutes? Tell us what your take on it is. He's an attorney and he's been working with this for years on the tiny boxes.
I just want to let you know the volume of a building is not equal to the traffic of the building. A good 7-Eleven is equal to about 30 apartment units. A good gasoline station is about 50 apartment units. So when these conversions happen, you're actually going to be decreasing the traffic count on any given shopping center. A little bigger building, but less traffic. So we'll be decreasing it because the people will be here. We'll be decreasing it because of the use. There's a lot of good things that are going on with land planning that have to do with building affordable housing on some of these corridors.
Wow, thank you both for coming.
Please vote for the housing bond on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, terrific. one of you could stay after, it'd be great. Hey. Well, this is a very special day. We've gotten a lot of information here, and now we are going to hear from our Supervisor of Elections, Wendy Lake, and we've got another program here for you, another PowerPoint, and I'm sure it's going to pop right up. Yes. It will. Sure. We'll have to get that. I'm sure we will get set up here. I'm going to keep it up. Here you.
All right, good morning, everybody. How are you? It's great to be back here. I want to take Kim's right here, so I want to introduce you to Kim Rayner and also Nicole Carson toward the back, if she can raise her hand. Nicole is actually the person who comes here every month representing our office so that you can get to know her, and any questions that you have, you don't have to wait till in between presentations. She's always here, very knowledgeable, has been with our office a long time, and is always here to answer any questions you have, update addresses, anything you need to do that way. First want you to know, I know some of the folks here are poll workers. I was actually told that as I walked in the door that I have the absolute best deputy, he tells me, that we have in our system. So super thanks to you and anybody else who's been a poll worker. We will always continue to need poll workers. So if you're able to join us that way, please think about that. You know the locations. We're down here in Delray as well, but we also, if you haven't been to our voting equipment center in Riviera Beach, it's still something I would encourage you to do. We do tours, and maybe actually the Alliance, Laura, maybe the Alliance would like to do it as a group. You all can come up, we'll do a behind the scenes tour, show you what we do that you don't see every day on election day and how the whole system works. People who do it, we always ask at the end, was it worth your time? Yeah, we do it anonymously. We'll survey, was it worth your time? Would you do it again and recommend it? And everybody always says yes. So I think it is worth your time if you have time to join us on something like that. Voter registration, wanted to just point a couple things out to you here. For the voter registration statistics, what we've got, you can see, it's interesting, it's not on my screen, so hold on my screen up here. Luckily I've got it written down. So we're staying pretty close to how we normally do, with 40% representing the Democratic Party, 29% with the Republican Party, and 31% NPA and minor parties. If there's a trend, it's pretty much to stay right about these numbers, but with anything, maybe the NPA and minor parties picking up a little steam these days. Something else that you know about in Florida is we have 3 ways to vote. You can vote by mail, you can do early voting, and of course you can do election day. Wanted to just show you these statistics, which you find interesting. If you're looking back at 2016, everybody liked to do election day, for the most part. It was 42% voted on election day. You had 37% early voting. So again, you see a trend toward more people wanting to do in-person voting, and only 21% wanting to do vote by mail. 2018, that increases a little bit to 25%. Election day and early voting still combining to be about 75%. Then in 2020, whether it's because we had, obviously the pandemic, big part here. But then we also added, we started paying for the postage for return mail for vote by mail. So I think that made it easier on some folks as well. And you see that we jumped to 50% vote by mail, 19% election day, and sticking around 31% for early voting. Then we jumped into our special elections. Now those are very small elections, and so I don't put these up here because they really are too small to be able to extrapolate out for there to be a trend. But just so you know, we had over 60% vote by mail in our special elections. And then this is a primary, so it's not exactly apples to apples because the others are numbers from the general. But you can see here we had 56% vote by mail. We had 32% on election day and about 11% for early voting. So we expect early voting will pick up for the for the general, because it usually does. The question will be, what happens with vote by mail compared to election day? So those are we're still trying to figure out what the trends are, because of course it matters when we're trying to figure out polling locations and how to staff and how to accommodate what you all are looking for. We'll talk about one of the things we've got for early voting coming up. It's a change that may also be helpful to you. But the most important thing I wanted to talk about today is election law changes, because those are going to affect you. They're going to affect everybody, and we want to make sure that you're aware of them. So with the Senate Bill 90 and Senate Bill 524, those two things combined. So since the 2020 election, you'll see that these are the changes that were put in place by the legislature. So your voter name and party affiliation change requests do now have to be made on a voter registration application. So if you want to do that, you can't just send us a note the way you used to do. New verification requirements are required if you want to update your residential address. You're going to have to give us your Florida driver's license or your last four of your social security number or your Florida ID. And so it's going to be very important that we get that done. We also have to do more frequent list maintenance. That's the way we upkeep our voter rolls. Doesn't affect our office too much because we had already been doing those pretty regularly, so the increased changes don't really have a negative effect on us because we were doing it already. But one of the things it is you are going to, inactive voters are voters that we sent them something, we let them know we know about a change of address for them. We've got return mail, and we send them a couple of different notifications. If we don't hear from them, they become an inactive voter. They stay an inactive voter for a couple of years because it's got to get to a couple of general elections. You can still vote if you're an inactive voter, but now what they're going to have to do, new law says that you're going to have to show us proof of your current address before you can do that. Big change here is the all elections vote by mail request. This is the big thing that everybody's going to have to know. They're only good through this election, so only good through 2022. After November 8th, you are going to have to re-request vote by mail if that's the way you wish to vote. Right? So in the past, you're going to see, well, we used to be able to make it easy on you when you got your vote by mail envelope, it had a check box. And you just check the box and say, yes, I want to continue. We're no longer allowed to have that checkbox, so it's not something that you can just do. So this will be the first time in a long time that you've had to affirmatively call us, write to us, fill something out, let us know that you want to vote by mail. Okay, it's not going to just be an easy thing. And doing it now doesn't really help. That'll help if you don't have vote by mail on file for this election. By all means, get that in if that's how you want to vote. But you do need to remember that you have to make that request after this election to be able to continue it moving forward. So we're just going to encourage everybody, starting November 9th, give us a call if that's the way you want to vote by mail. If you want to vote by mail because elections are still on your mind, and so go ahead and get that request into us. We don't want anybody to all of a sudden come time for the March elections and you think, well, they always automatically send me a ballot, and you're waiting and it doesn't come. All right, that's because we can't, right? You have to make that request after the November election for us to be able to send that to you. The other thing is that you may hear comments that we no longer have drop boxes. That's only partially true. We still have boxes that operate the exact same as a drop box, but they're now called secure ballot intake stations. They have a new name. But they look like a duck, they walk like a duck, they quack like a duck, okay? So we just can't call them drop boxes. They are now secure ballot intake stations by statute. So you'll see them noted that way, but just don't want people, because we've gotten a lot of calls, folks saying, wait a minute, I heard you got rid of drop boxes. Okay, yes, well, we got rid of the name. All right, so that's what we've had to do. But all of those boxes still exist. Don't worry about it, you still work the same way. I say they work the same way. The big change here is they cannot be 24/7 because now they do have to be attended by our staff. So at each of these secure ballot intake stations, you're going to see a couple of staff members there. And yes, that's a waste of your taxpayer dollars, but that's the law, and so we will have them there. So you'll see a couple of them there, because if they're ever not there, that's a $25,000 personal fine to me for each time that occurs. So I can assure you, we will not have those unattended ever. So you'll see, it's nice, you can actually talk to one of our staff members, ask them any questions you have when you go there. So there'll be 30 days before an election, and we'll always do it earlier than that. You can look on our website and see the days and hours of those secure ballot intake stations. Biggest change for folks to know is that you can only return only two vote-by-mail ballots that don't belong to you or your family members, immediate family members. So if you've got 25 family members, you can return all of them, okay? But it's got to be you or your immediate family member, plus up to 2 other people per election, okay? Not per day, you don't get to bring it 2 every day, okay? It's per election. So that's a big change. That was, the big thing it's going to affect is a lot of neighborhood associations would have a box to make it easy on the residents, and then one of the people would bring them all in, or nursing homes, or things like that. That's not going to be allowed anymore, so just make sure that we've got that. Hopefully, the fact that we do have the drop boxes and the paid postage is going to make that easier for folks. Okay? All right, yeah, so again, one of the things that, again, we want to remind you is that we're not going to have that box, so make sure that you're giving us a call. All right, new restrictions on the submission of registration applications by third-party organizations. So if you are working with a third-party registration group, make sure that they have checked the law, though there are changes there. Any questions, they can give us a call. We don't want anybody to inadvertently break the law, and there have been lawsuits regarding that, and they go back and forth. It's very confusing where we stand, but currently the law exists as it was written, and I know they are appealing that, but please make sure if you're with that group that you're checking that. The solicit, the definition of solicit, you might have heard people can't pass out water, you can't pass out food when you're in line, so that's something that it's within that definition of the solicit. So within the 150-foot mark, you can't be passing out any water, even if it doesn't have a candidate name on it. If it's just a Zephyr Hills, whatever it says, you cannot, you've got to only pass that out outside the 150-foot mark. But we've tried to do a few things that you'll hear about with early voting that may make that easier for you. And then the other thing is that 150-foot mark now not only applies on election day, where you can't campaign in that 150 feet. That also now applies to all the secure ballot intake stations. Okay, couple election dates and deadlines that we want to just make sure that you know about. Of course, the election, the general election, is November 8th. October 11th is the last day to register to vote, to vote in this election. Of course, you can register to vote any day, any time, but if you want to vote in this general election, you have to have registered by October 11th. We're going to have early voting, 14 days, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., October 24th through November 6th. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more. The vote-by-mail ballot request deadline, and this is for us to be able to mail you a ballot. If you want us to mail you a vote-by-mail ballot, you have to have made that request by Saturday, October 29th at 5 o'clock p.m. We will be open. We'll have our office, our main office open, and people will be answering the phones on that day to make sure that we can get everybody's request in that wants to do it. And then, of course, big day, November 8th, is Election Day. As you heard, we do have some really important things on the ballot, and so make sure you're doing that. We've got, not only, so we've got 2 county questions on the ballot. You heard about one of them today, the other is a school board question. The state has 3 constitutional amendments on the ballot. And I think we have 111 candidates, on various ballots. So there's a lot of things to vote for there. One of the things that I've referenced earlier is a new program we have. In our office, we're always trying to think of how can we better serve our voters. If you've ever voted on a big election and you've tried to do it early voting, you notice there's lines, long lines sometimes. And it's hot or it's raining. That seems to be, early voting seems to always be the hottest or the rainiest days of the year. So one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying this appointment program. It's called No Wait Inside. You don't have to make an appointment. You can still show up the way you've always done, last minute, spur of the moment. You go, you get in line. That will still be an opportunity for you. That doesn't change. But if you're one of those people who plans ahead, you can actually go online or call our office. Go to any one of our 21 early voting sites. We'll have a drop-down menu there, and you can actually choose a 15-minute area or block of time that you want to vote. And you go ahead, you make your appointment, and when you get there, you walk past all your friends in line, wave to them, tell them, you know, hope you're having a great day, and you walk right up and you vote in your 15-minute block. So if that's something that you want to do, if you want to vote in person, during early voting, you can go on and make an appointment to do that. Again, you do not have to make an appointment. We're only going to take up half of the slots doing it that way, and we'll have half the slots that you can still get in line. Even once you're in line, you can get in the queue, sort of a digital queue, and that way you can get a number, which allows you to leave the line, go get water, go sit in your car, do whatever you want to do till we're getting closer to your number. So trying to, again, make it easier for you to not have to stand outside in the rain or in the heat if that's one of the ways you want to vote. Okay? So that's a big change for us. All right? With the voter education and outreach, you know, one of the things, we're here today, we have a great outreach team. Kim, who I introduced to you earlier, Kim is our manager of that, and we will be happy to, if I can't go, somebody from our office will go. We'll go speak to any of the groups that you have. We want to make sure that we're getting the right information out. This is also the time that a lot of groups start trying to do what they call MDM, misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So there's a lot of groups out there that are trying to confuse the matter. Those initials, you know, that's one of the things that the FBI, you know, Homeland, they all come up with these great little initials, but that is one of the things that they're focused on. So please make sure if you are needing to get accurate information, get it from us. We're votepalmbeach.gov on our website. Call our office, ask us to come talk to your group, but we want to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that you're not falling prey to somebody who's trying to give you bad information out there. Okay, so Trusted Info 2022 is something that they're doing at the state level to make sure that people know that there is a lot of bad information. It looks very official. It looks like you're doing something. Another thing that we've recently gotten, and actually one of my sons got it, and my husband, they got is something that looks like it came from us that says, how you vote is secret to you, but whether or not you vote is public record, and that we're going to do a report card on you and your voting history, and we're going to send it to all of your neighbors. Okay? So I can tell you, we're not doing that. Right? So that isn't coming from our office. But it is true whether or not you vote. You know, people can request your voting history. That is public record. Obviously, they don't know how you voted. Only you know that. But that's something that, you know, we get a lot of calls from people. Why are you doing that? Well, truthfully, we're not. Okay, but there's going to be a lot of those things, a lot of groups that are out there doing that right now. All right, so again, remember with being .gov, so if you get something that's not .gov, then it didn't come from us. So votepalmbeach.gov, I know that you're not always going to remember our website, but you can remember that we're .gov and not something else. So don't believe anything that comes with a link to someplace else. Online, you can look at the early vote times and the location visibility. Meaning if you can, again, make the appointment if you want to early vote, or if you just want to look and see what are the lines like, you can go to and check out what the lines are like before you go at any one of our 21 sites. Our social media is at Vote Palm Beach, so any of our social media has that same thing. And if you are voting by mail, remember you can track the status of your ballot. So you go to the website, you go to the My Status button, put in your name and your birth date, and you'll be able to track the status of your ballot from whether or not we have a vote by mail request on file for you, what day we mailed it, what day we received it back, if there was a problem with it, meaning you forgot to sign it or your signature didn't match, and then on election day, it'll tell you that it counted. So those are really important things to remember. And these are the different ways that we try to get out there, as well as getting out in person. So we do have a newsletter. Please go on and sign up for our newsletter. We send it out monthly. Try to give you some helpful information on that. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
If there's any questions, you can come right up to this microphone here, if anybody has questions. Thank you for coming today. This was really very informative. Wow, so many changes.
There are changes for sure.
Go ahead.
Wendy, I'm a former clerk. Served 18 years. I am no longer working. At the 2020 election, I was very disappointed on how the cabinets came. I don't know who does the checking before they are sent out to the districts. When I got mine, I was appalled. 6 EVADs were missing, and there were 20 bags of pens. I think I brought it to your attention, but is anybody checking to see what goes in?
Yes, and I'm sorry that you had that experience for sure.
Because it almost fell on me. When we had to open the door, the cabinet, it almost collapsed on me. It was a good thing people were behind me.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm sorry. So couple of things is, yes, we do have a quality control team who is now going through. They should have also been doing it in 2020. So the fact that you're missing 6 EVADs is amazing, and I'd like to follow up with you afterwards to find out where that was, because that would be all of them for that location. So that would mean you had no EVADs. But we can talk separately. I'll follow up with you. But yes. And the good news is we have new cabinets, because with all the new equipment we have, it was breaking, those cabinets were breaking down. So we are in the process, and we'll have new, sturdier cabinets that are much easier for people to be able to find the things coming in, because we often found that poll workers would call and they thought things weren't there, but we had to explain to them where to find them. So thank you for your service. I'm sorry you did not have a good experience, but I'm happy to follow up afterwards.
And they didn't come until 6, 7 o'clock at night, 6 EVADs, which meant we had to change every serial number on the papers that came from the Board of Elections, which took forever because it's on various places. So I'm just letting you know the ramifications. I did write to you. I never heard back, but I just wanted you to know that I did care.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your feedback.
Any other questions? This was pretty thorough. This was so excellent. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you all very much. We hope you get out of
If you have any questions you'd like to ask her on the side, she'll stay for a few minutes.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you. And this concludes our meeting today. And just remember, next month, October 6th, Thursday is going to be the meeting, from emergency to emergency room, and these are things you should know for your leadership for your community. Tell your community members, there's plenty of rooms in the spaces in the back to sit. And remember, Thursday, November 10th will be the other meeting. Then we go back to Wednesdays. Have a terrific month. See you next month.